Anar from Senpex is on the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast this week. They specialize in last mile delivery, a huge and a growing segment in our transportation industry. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Trucking Risk and Insurance Podcast.
Let's do it.
Anar, welcome to the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yeah, hi Chris. Hi John. Thanks again having me
Hello.
here in your show. In very brief about myself, so I'm 18 years in the software development industry, mainly building like different enterprise solutions. And then now, after like 7 years ago, we established the Senpex, which is specialized and helping the businesses scale and grow their and automate their last mile logistic needs. That's actually mainly what we're doing right now, and building all our technology and the solution and the logistics solution specifically, helping the businesses to automate the delivery process and needs as well.
Wow. And you say you started this 8 years ago?
Yeah, so like in
What
2017.
what good timing. Well
Yeah.
before COVID, so you were well established. Well, I mean, tell us. I imagine that last mile delivery was a big thing before COVID started, but after COVID hit us all, did it also grow?
Yeah, I mean, so before the COVID, there were still versions or a lot of demands for this last mile logistics. And basically, when we started, we have seen huge gaps there. And one of the gaps that we face, like how to make sure, like with the big volume of orders and the requests for the rush hours, how to make efficient delivery for the on-demand concept less than 1 hour. This is initially the gap we want to solve. And then the second challenge, like how help the businesses to grow and scale their businesses. For example, one of our biggest brand that they use us, like restaurants, hospitals, or like enterprise solutions, they interested how they can expand. So, and the logistic definitely the part of that expansion that they needed. And then when that's where we started initially, trying to solve specifically that problem at the beginning.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can see. And until you said it now, I never thought about it. But of course, if I want a meal delivered, it's either at 12 noon roughly or at 6 p.m. And everybody wants the same thing delivered at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. We're not paying attention. Like you're not imagining, like specifically rush hour during the restaurants, for example, like between 10 to 12, people requesting and interested to receive their food on time, right? But you don't know what's going on actually on the back of the restaurant where there's a lot of volume of orders request comes, and they have to figure out how to optimize those efficiency and how to make sure those deliveries done on time. So yeah, for those purposes, efficiency optimization of those routes, making sure that delivery is done on time, and specifically if those deliveries like large orders, oversized type of the deliveries, and the people is actually expecting their products on time. Yeah, so this is initially where we started trying to see the gap, and then based on that, start learning before the COVID how to close this gap, right? And then basically before and after the COVID, we got like huge brands, like I will say like even the like right now the Google, Apple, like the Stanford, the Restaurant Depot. There's a huge brands actually use us, and we as a company, it's really interesting. We had a chance to expand to all the states. Like we're right now in the 50 states, but very actively in the 38 states with more than 50,000 drivers that we're managing
Wow.
as a full time through our platform. Yeah, that's really exciting.
That's that's a lot of vehicles on the
Yeah.
road. John and I,
Hmm.
after this interview is over, we'll talk to you about safety because that's what John and I are both safety consultants. But and actually, I was just in Indianapolis over the weekend for a convention down there, all about safety and all that kind of stuff. And of course, prior to hitting the record button, I was telling you that we're Canadian, and you were saying you were coming up to Toronto for a big conference as well. So
Yeah.
always expanding. But getting back to the subject, last mile delivery. This
Mhm.
I'm an old guy, and so I'll throw a name out there that you might remember, Sears. I used to be a Sears home delivery driver at one time. So that's the old fashioned way of last mile delivery. How
Mhm.
have you taken that and updated it? What are some of the enhancements you've done or your company has done?
Yeah, that's a great source. Yeah, so the main enhancements that we did, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the main enhancements and the main growth that we did, that basically initially we start to make the last mile logistic much more in the mobilized version, like improving our mobile apps, etc., to just create a huge convenience. And then we understood actually the verticals we are in the B2B and the mainly the usage are like the web usage. And then we start building the API. So what that API means is just special small piece of code. It can be plugged into any different e-commerce platforms. Okay, we start thinking, okay, the people just building the e-commerce and the Shopify, WooCommerce, or the Salesforce and the different e-commerce platforms actually exist. Why not to just basically create an API that they can create a seamless delivery experience. Those who are just business owners, they want to create their own website, and they basically, just offer this as a one of the service, which is the last mile logistics. And then before the COVID hit it, we got actually one Mexican restaurant. By the way, it's kind of interesting. They had like 1,000 deliveries within 3 hours. 1,000 burritos need to be delivered within 3 hours with 25 drivers. And their requirements, okay,
Wow.
3 hours, just make sure all my burritos need to be delivered on time. And then we start creating a special route optimization engine, which has helped efficiently to optimize and plan the routes accordingly to those needs to make sure it's delivered on time, because perishable products delivery is really challenged. It's not easy to make those things happen,
Mhm.
like because it's a product, right? And we start building like how to for meal prep companies, or like even with the Stanford was one of our project, how efficiently optimize the routes and just deliver with the less time windows, with the more drivers, much more efficiently with a cheaper price. By the way, the pricing factors, by the way, in the last mile logistics very challenging, because in supply chain and logistic industry, one of the costly part is last mile. You probably know that, because whatever comes to your
Mhm.
house is actually come through your warehouse, and there's a lot of bunch of the activities supposed to be done by the companies usually that you're receiving, but overall it's costly. So that was our also main challenge. Okay, like what's the best price algorithms we have to build? Right now we have 15 different price algorithms based on, let's say, type of the vehicles, number of the stops, based on the dimension, let's say the distances, how to make sure like provide to our clients seamless the best pricing, to not to overcharge them as well, but plus to make sure our drivers also happy with a proper pay structure. Yeah, so like API was one of our biggest, how to say, like important product that we build, and I think 85% is actually our like volume of orders. It come through the API. So we go and integrate different e-commerce, and we're receiving the volumes. And then slowly we understood that in the last mile logistics, there's a huge demand for bulky items. Like there's a lot of corporate customers, they need like the palletized deliveries. They
Mhm.
need a lot of refrigerated type of the deliveries. They need the refrigerated vehicles, and for those purposes we start going to that vertical as well. Okay, how to make sure efficiently optimize the bulky items, oversized type of the deliveries, and cover those deliveries, and slowly seeing the experience and learning from our customers. So first of all, thank you for that. There's almost 4,000 corporate customers use us. We
Mhm.
start building,
Wow.
okay, how to scale this to the nationwide, the same
Mhm.
experience, to making sure, because in my opinion, overall, with any type of the businesses, specific in supply chain, scalability is much more important. Like what that
Mhm.
scalability means is like how you can operate in any location you want. For example, as previously I mentioned, I want to expand to the Canada, so I have all my infrastructure to properly build to easily just basically register the company in Canada, and just just start operation. So I'm
Yep.
not kind of depends on the physical in one warehouse or physical in one offices, or let's say like in the like usual businesses we are. So yeah, anyway, my point is here, like slowly we start growing that experience, and see it's working, and we start slowly going to the any other states and offering our best services experiences to all our customers. That's how kind of our venture started, and still we're growing, we're learning, and I think that's a great improvements. We're doing our best.
Well, no, as they say, my experience at Sears, you mentioned the typical thing, kind of what I would refer to as parcel delivery. And then at Sears, we had our two-man trucks that delivered
Mhm.
all the furniture and appliances. And of course, you can buy a fridge today online and
Mhm.
have it all delivered. And so that's what you're doing, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And I will say one more important thing. Right now, there's a lot of like interesting topics about the AI and the growth of those AI, etc. But me as a business owner and also specifically a technical founder who started from the scratch and started growing, I'm really proud if the company grow very aggressively with a less few team members. So initially, I start asking before. Actually, I got like huge deal. I think 8 months ago, like huge deal, which is actually increased my sales volume, tripling my sales volume. I start
Wow.
thinking, okay, I need to hire more people, to more dispatchers, more like drivers onboarding specialists, etc. And then I realized importance of the AI. So basically, I already figured out, okay, what's my exactly my dispatcher daily basis doing? Like what type of workflow process they have. And then I
Mhm.
started realizing, okay, it's very simple. They're hiring the process, hiring the drivers, doing the
Mhm.
background checks or controlling the drivers, communication with the drivers, and doing some kind of actions, right? So for example, driver is late, they're taking from one driver, assigning to someone else. There's some actionable items. So I will say right now, we as a company within 8 months, we are building like AI dispatch bot. Basically, the dispatchers who is managing the fleet. And you don't imagining
Mhm.
like last Friday. Oh, Saturday actually is kind of because our dispatcher 24/7, they have to work for all the like 24/7, right? Because we're
Mhm.
supporting Hawaii, Alaska, and the different times on the East Coast, West Coast. So we're supporting different time zones. And for us, it's important to have like the live dispatchers who are just controlling all the process. Only for Saturday night, like only like 3, 4 hours, there's a small gap. So like I cannot make my dispatchers just work for that time. And then like couple of months, I just realized after implementing the AI, my AI during that period where there's no dispatchers controlling the process, but the customer is asking the question, so where's my driver is? And then the actual
Mhm.
AI dispatchers start responding. I was really shocked. And then as a business
Ah.
owner, I fully understand how the AI is very important in our life on automation of the process and understanding like how to make sure efficiently provide those experience to our best customers. And I think that's the challenge, specifically AI in the last mile logistic and the supply chain. If it grows 100%, and the most business owner will just keep understanding the importance and the practical points of the AI. That's what my thoughts is overall.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned I was down to Indiana for a conference, and it was
Mhm.
a truck driver safety training conference. And AI took up half of the conference because, I mean, and my point to saying that is AI is infiltrating every piece of our life. And certainly AI has got to have a huge impact on dispatch and
Yep.
last
Yep.
mile delivery for sure. How are you using AI as a dispatcher? How is it helping?
Well, right now, the practical points of the AI usage from our side is the following. So first, we start building the knowledge bases. So what that knowledge bases is, like for me, is like AI kind of reminds the child, right? Like 5 years old child yet. That's the way
Mhm.
how I understand it. Because you need to implement AI in some kind of level of the limitation, right? You cannot, if you're just exceeding that limitation, that's create a problem. So even and by saying that is actually I had another kind of bad use case with AI, because like AI is the future, but still there's a problems. Like last time I lost one customer. It's a big corporate customer, Basically, he went to our system. He wanted just get a quote. Basically, okay, how much the delivery fee from point A to point B, and AI is basically just giving the generic kind of questions and answers and all. There's some kind of, sometimes there's a issue there, and that basically the customer understood this is something AI. That's not a real live person, right?
Mhm.
And then he just straight to the point. He wrote to me, "Are you the chatbot or are you the like AI?" Right? And my AI just
Mhm.
confused. No, I didn't know what to answer. And then my customer just, yeah, my customer just calling me directly. Hey, Anar, so come on, like, don't do like this way, right? I'm your
Yeah.
important customer. So
Right.
there's some kind of limitation. But coming back to the point about the practical how we're implementing the AI is this: we created the different roles. So, for example, drivers onboarding AI bot, the dispatchers who's controlling the driver. These are different roles. The second, we start building the knowledge database. So what that's, for example, what type of questions usually people is asking? We're just creating the questions and answers to those questions, and we have to create those knowledge bases, and then slowly, we start building finding out all the workflow process that we had, just whatever the workflow daily basis my dispatchers are just doing, and just slowly trying to automate those processes. Okay, so for example, hiring the drivers, right? It's just there's some kind of process we're just doing it. So why AI cannot do it? Or just controlling the drivers. For example, we know like exact pickup time, drop off time, and like if the driver is late, usually my dispatcher previously, the checking in our system, calling the driver if there's any problem. Like easily AI can do it, or just cancel the order from the another person, or the drivers cannot find the person's address or the customer's phone number. They just usually calling us like, so where's the driver
Mhm.
customer's phone number? So AI already have in our database that information. Why not AI can give it? So slowly we start building this workflow process. And I will say, like, with the 5 people right now, we're managing almost like a couple of millions actual orders within a day. That's crazy,
Wow.
and that's
Mhm.
really I'm really kind of proud of that. And I was saying, okay, even the volume triple 4 times to 3 times, I want to keep the same team members,
Right.
but
Mhm.
still implement much more AI and just learn accordingly. Yes, that's
Sure.
okay. Just AI can make mistakes, but slowly we'll start learning. That's how the
Right.
way it's built as an AI tools, especially generative AIs. Yeah,
So
Yeah.
utilizing the AI for the simple tasks, take the simple tasks out of the way, let it manage that, and then your team can handle the more complex conversations that need to be had.
exactly,
And and
exactly.
I
But they're
like your
just
analogy.
basically controlling the results of the simulations, right? So, for example,
Right.
they see what's AI's response are, or maybe something wrong. Then what we're doing, we're going back, taking this. If something went wrong or there's not correct
Mhm.
answer to the questions, so basically we're adjusting, trying to fix
Right.
this, and just making sure next time not to make the same mistakes that we did. So again,
Right.
AI is something that you just automating the workflow, showing whatever the response will be, fixing the response if there's any not proper simulation of the response has been
Mhm.
happened. That's the way how we're just keep growing, and it takes some
Cool.
time. It's not like immediately
Sure.
within a
Sure.
1 or 6 months you can make it. Still like 8 months. We did a lot of things, but I think that's the beginning, and there's a lot of new ideas, new challenges happening in the AI
Right.
field. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, AI, you said it earlier, and I forget your exact words, but AI is far from being an adult. It is a child under 10 years old at the moment because it's so new. It's not even a
Yep.
teenager yet, AI. And when I say new, it's been around, like, we didn't really call it AI, but when Siri came out and Alexa and all those things, that
Mhm.
was all the beginnings of AI. And now it's just exploding with the different technologies. And what you're doing specifically is a great use. You're
Mhm.
making it more efficient. I'm a bit of an environmentalist. So by you increasing the efficiency of delivery, you're helping save the planet.
yeah,
And that's a
Mhm.
byproduct. That's not one that you're going for, but you're reducing cost by being more efficient, and
Mhm.
you're saving fuel, and all that just helps everybody, all along. And we all want uh, last mile delivery. Every
Mhm.
restaurant is now using it It used to only be pizza shops, but now every
Mhm.
restaurant has last mile
Yeah.
delivery. Every store pretty much delivers to your home now. Where do you see just, and I know this is maybe an unfair question, but where do you see last mile delivery going? What else do you see as a service that you can provide that hasn't quite yet caught on?
I think in the B2B space, specifically supply chain, still there's a huge challenges. There's a huge growth. Like one of the biggest things are like oversized type of the deliveries. I think it's not covered a lot. I think second is special refrigerated type of the delivery is very challenging. Like most of the business is struggling. Like how to make sure like ice cream being picked up and delivered properly and just and if properly delivered, right? Like refrigerated
Yeah.
type of things. Third, in my opinion, reverse logistics is growing and booming. Reverse
Sorry,
logistics,
what's
reverse
reverse?
yeah, reverse logistic is something that returning the item to like store. So people goes
Oh,
and buy and then returning, and still there's a lot of gaps there, and a lot of stores are very struggling. A lot of companies right now like kind of losing a lot of money because of the returns, right? How to make sure
yep.
it's efficiently, yeah, pick it up from people's house and then returning them back with the proper labeling, and how to make sure customers they're not leaving their home but their products need to be picked up and returned back, right?
I'll tell you, that
Um,
one is a sore spot in my household. And I never heard the term reverse logistics, but yeah, returning an item that didn't fit
Yeah.
or whatever the
Yeah.
problem is. Yeah, sorry,
yeah,
carry on. That's a great example of growth.
yeah, and I think still like 3PLs that usually the huge warehouses they had like whatever the solution the customer in keeping the products, but still they have a gap how to efficiently optimize their routes, and even like there's a lot of corporates like in 3PL companies they need like the package to properly optimize and efficiently delivered. There's a lot of gaps and a lot of like optimization automation need to be done in that space. Yeah, and in my opinion, some way, maybe in the future, autonomous delivery will be pretty much like active growth overall. Like either like in the freight deliveries, either in the last mile logistics, like autonomous process is happening. Still,
Mhm.
I know like probably what happened with the cruise in San Francisco, and they stopped their operation. There's some kind of like legal part of that overall, but in long term, like within a 1 or 2 years we'll see some kind of autonomous delivery concept will be keep growing. And then maybe after like I don't know 5 or 10 years, the drone delivery will be the huge potential. But still, in my opinion, the drone delivery is really kind of not. We don't have enough infrastructure for that, like with the proper procedures and rules how it
Mm.
needs to be done, and plus infrastructure. Because like with the huge buildings, how we'll make sure those drones landing in the proper like floors, right, or proper
Yeah.
things. There's a lot of procedures that challenge. But that's what I see the tendency as it grows wise. And yeah, I mean, still we're growing. We're also trying to figure out and finding all those gaps and trying to close those gaps, building the technology and building the
Mhm.
experience to our customers. Yeah.
And one of the things when you mentioned a couple of the growth areas, for some reason in my mind, I went medical products that need refrigeration, because
Mhm.
you mentioned refrigeration and medical
Mhm.
products because they often have to be delivered quickly and efficiently, but they need to be frozen or
Mhm.
refrigerated, and to hospitals, to end users. It just, anyways, that was just something that popped into my mind as you were
Mhm.
talking about. But
Well, something that
Well,
that I'm almost also wondering about is you're not an asset based operation, so you'd mentioned about for hiring and orienting drivers and stuff like that. So I'm assuming you're looking for well qualified drivers with their vehicles and whatnot to provide those delivery services and stuff along that line. So how would people reach out to say, hey, how could I do work with your company and provide services? Are they allowed to do it with multiple companies, or is it something where they dedicate to you guys?
Oh yeah, so like based on the different kind of zones, we have like the full-time, part-time jobs, and for those purposes, we need to just hire those drivers who is potentially can also work for us. And if there's no enough volume of the orders, definitely can do something else
Mhm.
for other companies. Yeah, the way how we're doing, we're basically initially hiring the process. They're just downloading our apps, so the driver app. So basically signing up as a driver and they're receiving the volume through our app. That's how we're managing. Initially, when I started in 2017 this business, so basically I was kind of impression, okay, I will have a huge challenge and the issues with the drivers hiring process. And surprisingly, you're not imagining like every hour we're having like 2,000 application of the drivers, 2,000 like hourly basis.
Wow.
And yeah, so
Wow.
and the reason the way how we're doing it, even right now we're not putting it in a post or an advertisement in a different kind of websites for hiring. So
Right.
people are just doing through the YouTube. I'm kind of viral, right? So if the one driver is happy, they're just recording all
Mhm.
the delivery experience with the Senpex and putting on the Facebook, sorry,
Mhm.
on the YouTube. And yeah, so the people listening those
Sure.
and they're just applying and just this is how we're kind of growing, expanding. But out of those,
Sure.
we are also very important is quality is important, right? We don't need like many drivers. We need like the best drivers who can us also do it. So for those purposes, we implemented a lot like performance metrics. And I will say very
Mhm.
important in any of the logistic companies and any businesses as well, the data-driven business is important. So data is important. So you need to see the performance of the driver, the way of the execution, and based on those information, you have to give either just more volume of orders or less orders if he's not properly doing the
Right.
job, right?
Sure.
So there needs to be some metrics accordingly to this, and this is not even correlated with the drivers' uh, process performance, but also like the sales performance, the volume wise, like how to make sure, for example, in our business, one of our advantages, in my opinion, on the Sempex, we had the chance in the last mile logistic build recurring type of customers, like repetitive customers.
Mm.
So, for
Mhm.
example, we got, let's say, the Google, they just have a special logistic needs, and we know how to repeatedly just provide the service, and then basically it's easier, convenient, kind of subscription based model, right? You're
Mhm.
subscribing them in our system one time, do the proper setup, assigning the driver, and the driver just keep working with that with a proper dedicated drivers, right? And this is also like good for our clients because they're getting the right driver and it just get to use the same
Sure.
driver, just keep continuously working for that. But
Right.
answer to your question, back to your regarding the driver's onboarding process, yes. Initially, we had the kind of thoughts like, okay, I will, oh my God, I will have a huge challenge. We have very fast hiring process, John. So you don't imagine.
Mhm.
This is very important because for us, like
Sure.
if we got let's say somewhere the orders in Nebraska, somewhere like special location, we need to make sure just fulfill those needs, right? And based on the volume that we have, how to make sure get the right drivers and just make those proper execution. So yeah, this is how we figure out that during the within the 6 years, and now we know what to do, like how to make sure
Mhm.
hire properly, efficiently, how the best drivers to do those jobs.
Right.
And the
Cool.
plus the pay structure is important. So pay if the pay is good, so it's just kind
Yeah.
of viral, right? So people see that it's better than say the DoorDash or Uber Eats, whatever.
Mhm.
So definitely going and referring to their friends and families, they
Mhm.
just keep working for us.
Sure. Sure.
Well, that's awesome. And all of your contact info and Senpex website info is
Yeah.
all in the show notes down below. So
Mhm.
if somebody is interested, and currently it's only in the United States, but
Mhm.
you heard it here, Anar is coming to Canada. He just hasn't put a date to that yet. But if you are in the States and you want to be a last mile delivery guy, I would encourage you to.
Mhm.
Oh, did you hear that, Anar? That was bad. A last mile delivery guy. A last mile delivery person is what I'm supposed to say to be more politically correct. Um,
Guy or gal. Yep.
yeah, I apologize for that, but certainly. Anar, did we reach or did we discuss everything that you wanted to discuss today before we end our interview?
I think overall I covered pretty much all the points that I really want to
Cool.
just kind of share as an experience. Yeah,
Sure.
I just mentioned about everything, like about our products, about became the data-driven company. I mean, about the data type of things, there's a lot of things that I had like within like my experience, but I think I pretty much cover all the details, so I have nothing else to be covered. Also, AI points I think is very important in the supply
Yes.
chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
I think what Senpex is doing is really valuable because, of course, I get lots of deliveries to my home almost on a daily basis from different shippers, mostly that big warehouse company that,
Hmm.
on the internet. But that's because that's where a lot of people shop now.
Yeah.
And certainly I can remember before COVID saying, I'll never buy anything online. I don't know
Mm.
anybody today that has stuck to that promise
Yep.
because I
Yep.
buy everything. Well, not everything. But I buy a lot online. So,
Wow.
Anar, I thank you so much for your time.
Yes. Thank you.
And a huge thanks to Anar for joining us from Synpex, specializing in last mile delivery. Join us again next week where we will have another very interesting interview on the Trucking Risk and Insurance podcast. See you then.